Mr. Sigma's back!
Took you long enough.
I mean, I was looking for you guys, asshole.
Where are the others?
In the AB room.
Of course. They went in already. Why didn't you two? Have you been waiting for me?
Yeah. Grandpa said there was something he had to tell you before we voted, no matter what.
Oh,
Nothing that significant. Just wanted to tell you we're going to choose ally this round. That's it.
and you gotta tell me that no matter what? Seems kind of pointless. I mean, words are cheap. You can promise whatever you want.
But we've got something to back it up. Just hear me out.
Oh, okay, go ahead. Should've led with
Quark and I
this.
both have 8 BP. We're already on the home stretch. So what do we need to get to the magic number? Well, we need you to choose ally. If you do that, it doesn't really matter to us what we pick.
You'd get 9 whether you got 2 or 3 points.
Exactly. That being the case, we don't have any reason to betray you. And if we both choose ally, we both gain points.
True, but you must have considered that I'll choose betray. That would mean you'd choose betray to protect yourselves.
But that's why we're telling you we won't choose betray.
Mm-hmm.
Can I trust you?
Of course.
All right, tell me one thing. Let's say we do this in both ally. Everybody gets 2 points. That means you and Quark will have enough to leave, which is great for you, but I'll be stuck with a measly 5. How do I know you aren't going to just open the number 9 door and leave us in the lurch?
I can guarantee it.
How?
I can give you my word. I will not open the number 9 door, even if I have enough points to do so. I swear it. We aren't going to abandon everybody else just so we can escape.
I swear too.
Even though they literally did that before. Timmy
Yeah.
literally escaped with Quark before because he was like, "There's a murder on this, you crazy?" And this is the exact promise that we've always made right before somebody leaves, because they're like, "Dude, there's a murderer." So they're probably gonna do it again.
I promise.
Man,
Granted, he'd have to betray us in front of Quark this time because he was unconscious last time.
so all you've got is a promise, huh?
When I make a promise, I keep it. Trust me.
Please! You've gotta trust us!
Man, I don't gotta do nothing, kid.
All right, fine. I'll trust you.
Bing, bing.
2 minutes.
We're counting on you, Sigma.
You gotta choose ally! You promised!
With that, they turned and ran into the AB room.
Second from the right. Andrew didn't finish that sentence because he had to stare at his flexing arm.
Well, guess I should get moving.
Card doesn't work.
Oh, brutal.
We've never gotten this far, I don't think. Because we got the other timelines, the computer timelines, we never made it to the voting.
Yeah.
Because that one mysteriously cut off without an ending until we get the password. Which I think is Akane and Junpei.
Remains until Ambidex Game poll.
I had a decision to make. Should I trust Quark and Tenmyoji? Well, I could believe that they were telling the truth and still betray them. That would bring my BP to 6. I'd be that much closer to 9, and choosing betray would guarantee that they wouldn't try and escape without the rest of us. Betrayal seemed like the safe bet.
Except for the fact that you remember that literally everyone else is also at 8, so no matter what, somebody is getting 9.
Yeah, I think somebody else is at 8 at this point.
Yeah.
But, for me, the main issue is I wonder if Tenmyoji's like, he went back into the room. He knows. Kill him. Like, there's just, like, we have to get killed for seeing the hologram.
Why? They didn't say anything.
It really didn't say anything. He just went on a
It
weird...
didn't even, like, I feel like Tenmyoji would only kill us if it spoiled something about Tenmyoji.
I'm genuinely mad at that hologram for saying basically nothing.
Are you?
Yes.
I'm not.
I'm super mad. How is that not any kind of information dump? He's just like, I have grand aspirations. Here's a code. Bye. And he took like 15 minutes to say it.
Goodbye.
That's basically all he said. He's like, this is all very important because of the scaling dimensions. Blah, 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 letters.
Please.
Okay, can we just go to the voting?
Trust us.
Or, I mean, he's just gonna go over the entire thing in his head.
Yeah, we're literally repeating old dialogue now. What was I gonna do? Betray a child? It's always down to the last second. I swear to God, making us button mash this shit. Stop it.
3, 2.
You can't button mash it, by the way.
I'm aware.
Ally. And then we die.
Your vote has been recorded.
been recorded.
Round 3.
What if you press...
The Ambidex game has been completed.
You press ally, and it says like, this program has crashed, please in task.
The computer just like stalled.
Yeah.
Not responding. The whole window turns white-ish.
Oh.
The way that a window does when it's like not responding.
Results from round 3 of the Ambidex game will now be displayed. Please direct your attention to the results screen.
Okay. There's a lot of people that lived. Yeah, there's like Clover and Kay are almost...
Dio.
Oh.
They betrayed Kay. Oh, they murdered us.
What?
They literally... Oh, they didn't murder us. We go down to 1 now.
What the fuck?
What a
Okay,
bunch
so I
of
guess
assholes.
Clover's getting out with you guys?
Yeah, it's Clover, Tenmyoji, and Quark.
What the fuck?
Assholes.
Points have please.
Well, at least we can all just keep
I
doing
forgot
it.
we only lose 2 points, so we're not dead. Look at their faces.
Hey! What the hell, guys? Why'd you betray me?
To do with this. I made the vote.
Grandpa.
Alright, fine. Why did you break your promise,
I
Tenryoji?
only promised you one thing. We wouldn't open the number 9 door, even if we got 9 points.
No, 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 no. You don't get to be fucking choosy with what is part of the fucking
He definitely
promise.
very specifically said we are going to choose ally.
Yes.
He said that as clearly as possible.
Yes, he said it multiple
Verbatim.
times.
Yeah, he's
And the
full of
game
shit.
specifically throws that back at you where Quark says, you wouldn't break your promise.
This is bullshit. This is not in good faith, even vaguely.
No.
What? So, you're not going to leave?
Not what I said. Of course we're going to leave.
What the fuck? What? You didn't write anything! You wrote nothing about you.
It's because Clover's gonna open the door. It's because Clover's gonna open the door and they're gonna leave. That's...
Well, what if we go and talk to Clover and say, hey, could you not open the door until
He's
we
not
all get
even
9?
vaguely in good faith. He's such a piece of shit.
What the fuck?
What?
Look, see Clover over there?
What?
Yeah, tackle her. Tackle her before she opens it.
Don't tell me.
Her face. Clover.
How did she get over there and no one noticed?
I don't know, because it's...
Do you remember when we had the fucking 9 in our bracelet and we walked to the fucking door and
Yeah.
literally 7 people tackled us?
Yep. Whenever we hit 9, everyone magically stops us, and it's impossible to make it, even though we're the giant muscle man.
Wait, we don't have to worry. We can now just fucking tackle them while they're trying to go through the door, and now everyone dies with us, you fucking ingrates!
Which is what happened in our timeline. Is we got the door open and then they just tackled us. But no,
can you just
only Sigma gets stopped. God damn it. Also, why did Kay break his betrayal streak? Why did he pick ally for like the first time ever?
Yeah, I don't know why he did that.
What are you doing? What are you looking up?
What was I about to look up?
Don't look things up.
I'm not
Stop
looking
it.
things up about the game.
What are you doing?
Oh, fuck. I forgot what I was gonna
What are
look
you
up.
doing right now?
Oh, right, now I remember.
Can you explain?
No, just keep going.
What, is it a joke thing you're trying to bring up?
Yes.
What are you doing?
I'm just joking.
What are you doing? This is bothering me that you're ominously on your phone in the middle of this.
I'm going to look at, I want to see exactly, the lie that has been portrayed.
What do you mean? Are you looking at the exact line that was said or something? Are you looking for screenshots of the conversation that just happened a moment ago or something?
No, I'm not.
Can you just explain yourself, please?
Hold on, I'm finding the line. Okay. Zero Escape Virtuous Last Reward is nothing short of a masterpiece. Riveting from beginning to end, it sets a new standard for interactive storytelling and demands an emotional investment from the player that ultimately pays off with one of the most satisfying endings in recent video game memory. That is Nintendo Life, who gave it a 100% out of 100.
Nintendo Life, the publication I've never seen ever.
I want to preface this very, very clearly. You are wrong. Anybody, this isn't even up to debate. If you think this fucking game has any semblance of fucking well-written into it at all, it was written with somebody who wasn't clearly on the most amount of fucking drugs to the point of almost suicide, I don't think you understand how a fucking book works. Go to the library, buy a book, read a book! This is fucking ridiculous. These characters are ridiculous. No one makes sense. Every fucking interaction makes no sense. Every fucking reaction makes even less sense than the interactions that we're having.
Every rose has its thorn.
Why in the fuck, out of goddamn 10 endings that we've gotten, ours is the only one where someone tackled us to stop us?
Yeah.
Fucking acceptable. I'm not gonna deal with this. The only time we've ever escaped.
There has to be so much clipping in this recording.
The only time we've ever escaped.
There has to be so much clipping.
The only time we've ever escaped is with Fi and Dio. That's it.
Yeah, we actually escaped once, and then the game just stopped.
And then the game stopped.
The game really didn't even show what happened. The game just mysteriously stopped for no reason. We didn't die. We didn't learn a grand reveal about the world, like the fact that we're on Mars or that the world's been destroyed by Radical 6. We didn't even make it that far. The game just stopped. Because it couldn't even come up with a reason for the ending to be an ending, so it just stopped.
You're all a bunch of shitholes.
Which means, like, I don't even care about escaping, because the one time we escaped, they were just like, doesn't count. Like, we escaped, and they're like, never mind. And then the game just stopped mysteriously. Like,
because for some reason, Zero Escape is a game where we have to be goddamn Jesus and save everyone from the fucking death chamber.
Like, this is a game where, like, escaping isn't even the goal anymore.
No.
The goal is just to see whatever the fuck the ending happens to be. Because we've already escaped once. We've already escaped, whatever that means, which we don't know what it means, because the game just mysteriously was like, fuck it. No big deal, it's just what you work towards to the entirety of 999 is just escaping once, and then they showed what happened afterwards, but fuck it, you escaped, and it doesn't matter, I guess.
We spent the entire time in 999.
Say why it doesn't matter.
We spent the entire fucking game of 999 looking for the 9 door.
Yep.
We didn't even know.
Which was actually the Q door.
We didn't know if it even existed. We had no idea, because the game was set up like a game. This is set up like a fucking convenience.
This entire game's in 2 warehouses.
Like...
Jeez.
That bitch.
Wait. Quark and Tenmyoji have...
The words were barely out of her mouth when Tenmyoji and Quark ran past.
No! God damn it!
You can, like, trip them. No one can run without you hearing them about...
Kill
like,
all of them.
Clover, are you really going to leave?
Well, yeah. Why else would I open the door?
Why?
I'm going to go call the others, so we can capture Zero Senior.
Tenmyoji, are you and Quark going too?
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Sorry, everybody.
So, Sigma. Happy? I kept my promise.
You fuck. You fuck.
Man, he's gonna be so salty when we fucking do Betray, and then it turns out that neither of them get any points, and no one gets points, and Clover just has the freedom to leave.
You fuck.
So we get one ending where Tenmyoji and Quark betray us, and now we get another ending where Clover just leaves. So...
What a piece of shit.
You know, great times all around.
Also, by the way, and you know how visual novels are normally about decisions and how they matter?
Yeah.
Not only do they not matter in that we have to do every ending basically in order to beat the game, but also they also don't matter because this game subscribes to multiverse theory where every reality exists at once. So you don't make any choices because all of them happen no matter what.
My favorite part is that I can't wait till we go through the timeline again, We click betray, and then we have to go through like 10 minutes of them hounding us for being a piece of shit for pressing
When they were
betray.
gonna do it?
When we watch them right now leave us after betraying us.
Tenmyoji's actually on the top of my shit list now.
No.
Just because of how fucked that nonsense was. He didn't even get us on a technicality. He's actually just full of shit.
Yeah.
Like, that was on no definition ever could you ever imply that that was actually what he said. And he's just full of shit.
Clover opened the door, not me.
Like hell, I'm happy. That's some shady shit, Tenmyoji.
If you say so.
I like how we're giving him credit like he got us in a technicality, like, oh, you outsmarted me. It's like, no, he actually lied to us.
Yeah, he actually
did
lied.
say he'd pick ally.
I have to get out of here, and that's that. He's got to pay for what he's done.
Well, good luck on fucking Mars, you dumbass piece of shit. Maybe if you ask somebody like, Sigma, the man who has access to the multiverse knowledge, you would know that you're on the fucking moon! Like,
God, you're murdering the recording.
are you no, OBS is lying. Are
You
you
fucking you cupped your hands to amplify your scream directly
Yes.
into the microphone to extra fuck the recording.
Yes.
You need to calm down.
You need to fucking...
Yell at the ceiling when you yell.
Is it possible that we can get like a scene of what it looks like when they go outside and they realize that there's nothing they
really
can do?
Want every single ending. I wish we could watch them go outside and be like, fuck.
Yes. I want the justification of watching them realize that their betrayal was literally pointless.
Zero.
You mean you know who Zero Senior is?
Yeah. No point keeping it a secret now, I suppose. I know exactly who Zero Senior is.
Say it. Oh, is he gonna die? Oh, because if you say anything,
tell them under any
oh,
circumstances.
I can't wait to see.
Also, the door closes in 9 seconds.
Yeah. It's still opening.
Oh, it's still opening. Meaning we have time to tackle them and make them
Time
not leave?
dilation. Time moves at whatever pace you want it to, I guess.
We have time to tackle them and prevent them from leaving.
We do. Break his spine.
It will remain.
Let's go. Come on, guys. Time to move.
Why is Dio not stopping them?
Oh, wait! This is for you, Mr. Sigma.
Fuck you. Get out of here.
Quark held something out.
Murder.
I looked down to see 2 pieces of folded paper. What is this?
It's a letter. I wrote it in the director's office before the AB game. I wanted to tell you what kind of guy Grandpa is. So, read it, okay?
Yeah, I mean, I have nothing else to do but die.
He pressed it into my hand.
This is all happening in 9
See you later,
seconds?
Mr.
Yeah.
Sigma.
Then he turned and ran toward the door, Tenmyoji and Clover following in his footsteps, and nobody fucking tackling them. I was so surprised by the letter that I didn't even try to stop them. Before I could think of anything to say,
See you.
Goodbye.
Who's Zero? What the fuck, Tenmyoji?
Yeah, he's...
You forgetful fuck that half finishes every story. We never finished the story from earlier in this timeline.
No.
Even though we kept asking him to. Who's Zero? He just didn't say it.
Well, you can't say it because it would spoil the ending.
What the fuck? I hate this game. It's so infuriating.
The number 9.
He literally was like, I will now say who he is. And then nothing stopped him from saying it.
Yep.
And he just didn't say it.
Yep.
These are aliens. They're all fucking aliens. They're not real people.
Please enjoy.
They're not real people. They're fucking insane anime characters with their heads up their asses or each other's asses.
Shit. They're gone.
All we can do now is hope they bring help back.
And maybe fuck.
Dio. Meanwhile, Dio's like, those bombs are gonna go off.
What's the letter say? Does it say who fucking Zero is?
I looked down at Quark's letter and slowly unfolded it. His handwriting was still slightly uneven, but he'd filled both pages with writing. I began to read.
It was a really stormy day when he found me.
I guess I should read it, huh?
I mean, I guess
It was
you
a
can.
really stormy day when he found me. He said the rain was coming down so hard it almost hurt, but somehow he managed to hear a baby crying. So he's an adopted son, grandchild, whatever.
What?
Not a grandchild at all?
You mean it's not his kid?
Not even his kid's kid. Did you
Yeah.
call him a grandpa for no reason because of age gap, I
Yes,
guess?
probably.
I guess I must have been crying pretty loud. He took me home and did his best to raise me, but he'd never been married or had a kid before, so I think it was really hard for him. He couldn't figure out how to mix the formula, so he was always carrying the directions around with him.
What?
Also, I guess I was a pretty picky eater, so if he didn't get the water to formula ratio just right, I wouldn't eat it. I guess I was kind of a pain, huh? But he didn't give up, and now here I am. When he found me, I was really, really small, and he was worried that I might not make it. That's why he named me Quark. A quark is a really, really small thing, and I was really, really small too. Grandpa didn't need to worry though, because it turned out that I was pretty tough. When I was one, he forgot I was sleeping in the bed of his truck and drove off. I rolled out and went off Jesus, and went off the back, but I didn't even get scratched. He fell out of a moving truck when he was 1 year old. Good job, Dad. I started walking when I was 10. I didn't know how to walk yet. And he got jumped out of a fucking
God damn, that's brutal.
That's why he wears the helmet.
That's some Spartan shit.
That is why he wears the helmet. I started walking when I was 2, and when he wasn't looking, I fell down the stairs.
Yeah, that's what the helmet's for.
Yeah, he just keeps hitting his head. I didn't get hurt then either, because I've always worn this helmet. When I was 3, I got really sick. I have a 1 accident per year ratio. It's a quota. I had a super high fever for a week, but eventually I got better, like all children. Like every child ever. I guess you could say I'm pretty lucky because I got sick and then got better like every child in history.
No.
Except for the ones that die.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I didn't really have any more accidents after that. I was a pretty healthy kid. I've literally never tripped before a single time since I was 3. Or 2, actually. By the time I was 6, I'd started helping Grandpa out with his work. His job was to gather junk from abandoned buildings. Then he'd fix it up or pull out the useful parts and sell them. There were plenty of abandoned buildings, but finding good stuff in them was hard. You had to know which parts were useful, or you could end up wasting a bunch of time. Every time I'd find something, he'd explain to me what it was, how it was supposed to work, how to fix it, all sorts of things. So I'm guessing Japanese writing is smaller?
Yes.
Because this is not going to fit on 2 pages in English.
Yeah.
As shown by the fact that it hasn't fit on 2 screens, basically. Usually though, I just wanted to finish up work so I could go out to the theater. The theater came to our town once a week in a wagon.
Wait, what the fuck? What is this what is this medieval times you're living in? What do you mean a theater came to our town once a week? Like a show? Like a play?
Yeah, I was confused. I thought it was a theater troupe, but then it says they show news and movies.
So
as a wagon shows up with a screen, I guess.
So a wagon with a projector just shows up every now and again?
So no, it's a drive-in theater, but reverse. The theater drives in. And you just sit there. What the fuck year was this? They'd show all news or movies. I went every single week, but Grandpa only went once in a while, and he'd only go weeks when they'd show movies. Oh yeah, I didn't know that I'd been adopted until I was 7. One of the other kids on my block told me. Why did they know? I guess after Grandpa found me, he looked all over town to try to find somebody who'd take me. The kid from my block actually had a mom, and he'd asked her if she would take me too. I gotta admit, I was pretty shocked when I heard that. That's every child. Yeah, there weren't a lot of kids with parents around, so hearing that someone lived with his actual mom was pretty impressive.
Wait, what do you mean that?
Yeah.
What do you mean that people don't live with their parent? Are you saying that like all the adults are dead and all the kids?
Yeah. So what happened is 999 happened. Radical 6 probably broke out and wiped out most of society, and then they're like in a dystopian future where people have like assigned families and shit like that. That's probably what's going on here.
Okay.
It feels like this whole thing actually feels like The Girl Who Owned a City. You know that one? Have you ever read that?
No.
It's a story, it's a young adult novel that we had access to in like elementary school and stuff like that, where something happens where every parent dies. Well, not just specifically parents, everyone over a certain age dies.
Oh.
So the whole world is just children.
Okay.
And that's...
You mean like the real world?
Like radical I mean, everyone's just a child pretending to be an adult.
Yeah.
Is how real world is, more or less. I was also kind of surprised that Grandpa had tried to get someone else to take me. Did that mean he didn't want me? That means that, yeah, everyone in this game's from different timelines. I'm not different timelines, but different time eras.
Yeah.
Like, we're probably kidnapped from when 999 happened, but they just showed up after living in the normal world. Also, he's probably Junpei. The kid who told me about Grandpa trying to get rid of me was a real jerk. He was totally spoiled, and he bragged to everyone about how he had a mom.
Wow, man, he's living the lap of luxury over here.
Without context, it's a real weird line.
Fucking.
He liked to come up to me while I was working and say stuff like, "Must be hard not having a mother."
And then I would look at him and say,
What a
"Must be
dick.
hard not having a Super Nintendo, nerd." And then, like,
It never bothered me before, but after I found out that Grandpa had adopted me, I started to think that maybe he didn't really want me. Finding out that Grandpa adopted you shouldn't even be shocking when if you know that everyone doesn't normally live with their real parents.
yeah.
If I could work on my own, then he could get rid of me. I was scared to know the truth, so I never asked him. Then one day, he took me to a bar in our neighborhood.
That's safe.
During the day, of course. He went there sometimes to drink scotch, but I'd never gone before.
Day drinking? Damn, Grandpa.
I mean, the lack of June really hit him hard. I can't find her, and also this kid's annoying as fuck. The only way through this is drinking and a helmet.
And a helmet.
I mean, who needs to parent when he has a helmet? Just feed him, keep the helmet on, he'll stay alive. When we got in, he just walked up to the counter with that grumpy look he has, and I thought, oh no, he's gonna make me work here. But I was wrong. This is exactly like Seven's story that was like 50 times as long as it possibly could have been in the context of the story being told. I saw him pass something to the bartender, and he picked me up and set me down on a stool next to the counter. The stool was pretty high, especially for a 7-year-old kid, and my legs just dangled off of it. It seemed really, really high to me. I was pretty nervous. You said it was high for like 3 sentences, it felt like. Hey, root beer float. Eventually, the bartender came back over with a glass of scotch and another big glass full of something else. As I looked closer, I realized the second glass was full of some sort of brown liquid with a scoop of ice cream in it. It took me a moment to realize what it was. A root beer float! I'd never seen one before. I was so surprised. Root beer was even more expensive than the nicest alcohol in the bar.
Excuse me, what? Like, what?
Maybe sugar's hard to get.
That can't be true because alcohol exists.
How much alcohol is made with sugar? I don't know.
I think you need sugar for the process for the.
Do you need it for scotch?
I don't know if you need it for scotch.
I don't know how.
But I mean, like, I know there's a lot of alcohol that would.
Isn't scotch Irish?
I mean,
doesn't that mean? No, it's Scottish.
Like,
it's Scottish. That's why it's called Scotch. God damn it! I was like, isn't it Irish?
I mean,
it's made of potatoes.
Most booze is like almost all alcohol is European descent.
Sure, that's not specific at all.
I mean, well, most of the hard alcohol. Like
to me and the other kids, it seemed more like an urban legend than a real drink.
What? Wait,
but
what?
There it was, right in front of me. I stared at the float. I still wasn't sure it was real at that point, and then turned to look at Grandpa. He looked back at me. I didn't know what to do, so I turned to the bartender. You drink it, you fuck?
What the fuck?
He'd already turned around and moved off, though, so I figured he must have put the glass down in front of me on purpose. What? Yeah, I just accidentally made a root beer float for no reason with all these temporary ingredients like ice cream because I'm prepping it for later. It still didn't seem like it could be real. And I was just staring at it when Grandpa told me to hurry up and drink it before the ice cream melted. His gruff voice sounded like an angel's. What?
What?
What? Is this really mine? He nodded. Words can't describe how awesome it was. How the fuck did you fit this on 2 pieces of paper in any language? This is insane.
Front and back.
Also, he wrote all of this, I'll remind you, by hand in like less than 10 minutes.
Yes.
Because he wrote this in the tiny margin. Like we got back to there in 20 minutes. Not to mention anything they did in that room in the meantime, and the travel time where they had to come to us. He wrote all of this. He wrote this entire story in like 15 minutes by hand.
No. Because remember, we sat and waited for them for 20 minutes.
Yeah, and then went to him.
And then went to them, which I'm assuming
but when we got there, we missed him, so they were already gone.
Yeah,
so they left before we left, basically.
So they probably spent 25 minutes there, which it makes sense. 25 minutes to write a letter.
If they spent 25 minutes there, he literally started writing the letter instantly.
Yeah.
Which I don't even know what he even found, where they found the supplies for it.
That I don't know.
Then they literally left the second before we came in.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Like time-wise, the only reason this works because it's like it must have been like a way smaller margin of time. This is nonsense.
I'm just waiting for the part where this matters at all.
This is just Jesus Christ, the root beer story. Words can't describe how awesome it was. I'd never tasted anything like root beer before. The creamy sweetness of the ice cream made my entire head feel light.
No, that's just called brain freeze.
I felt like the luckiest boy in the world. That's not an exaggeration. I really thought that.
Oh dang, now you got something you can insult the other guy with.
Yeah, now I got a root beer float.
Yeah, it's like,
you have a mom, but I got sugar.
Yeah, it's like, you have a mom. You can't drink a mom.
The root beer float was delicious, but what made me even happier was Grandpa. When I looked over at him, he was smiling. I know that's gotta be hard for you to imagine, but he really was. He smiled multiple times in this
Yeah,
game.
what the fuck?
He smiled every time I solved a puzzle.
Yeah.
He smiles a lot. It's his weird closed eyes, like cat eye smile.
Yeah, is he supposed
He looks
to be
like the Cheshire Cat.
Is he supposed to be angry all the time?
Yeah, because he's not. Boy, they fucked up that if the animators didn't get the cue from the writer apparently, he just doesn't know, or he just doesn't actually know how to run a project. Right then, I didn't care whether he just found me and adopted me or not.
Oh, wow.
He bought me a root beer float.
Is that all it takes to win your heart?
You're adopted, but here's a root beer float. Now forget about it.
I mean, I feel like most kids would probably be like, oh yeah, I can forget about it.
Yeah, that's how they deal with trauma of going to the dentist and stuff. It's like, here's candy.
I feel like you shouldn't give a candy.
I know we just took out your appendix, but here's a root beer float.
They did that to me. I had to get surgery once.
I've never had surgery.
As a kid, I had to get one for like something on my pelvis was fucked up. And
an appendix?
No.
No? Do you have your appendix?
Yeah.
I also do.
But they
appendix brothers temporarily until one of us has to lose theirs.
I had the surgery and then I woke up from the from the anesthesia. And I just started vomiting profusely because I guess the anesthesia.
Here's a root beer float.
No, and so the fucking doctor came over and was like, "Would you like a lollipop?" I was like, "What the fuck? What is a lollipop gonna help?" Like, for one, you just like did surgery on me. I didn't like. I don't think the lollipop
won't fix that. You've left cotton balls on my belly.
Yeah, and like then secondly, I feel awful. Like, why would I want a candy after this? You should give me candy before I took this.
I guess whatever they were doing wasn't probably related to your digestive tract, so you probably were vomiting because of the anesthesia.
Yes, I was.
Yeah.
But it's still the idea of like, why didn't you give me the candy before? Like, why would I want the candy after the trauma's already happened?
That made me way luckier than some kid who had a mother, but never tasted root beer. Well, that's actually where they went with it.
Damn spite.
Of course, after we left the bar, he was the first kid I bragged to.
Damn!
So Grandpa and I were doing pretty good.
What were you?
Until the fight. The cage match. Ding ding. I was in a super bad mood that day. I'd torn one of my shoes that morning, and some old drunk guy had yelled at me. All the junk I found was totally useless. Ooh. That's, you know, they're really skipping over the important details of the story, like how his what he does all day is he searches through junk piles to scavenge so they can survive, as opposed to going to school. That's all like off-camera shit they're not actually discussing because he's obsessing over a root beer float for like 5 pages on his 2-page story.
I don't think school exists anymore.
No, I don't think so. Some old drunk guy. There are a lot of drunks around here.
Well, yeah, I mean it's an apocalypse.
Yeah. The day was almost over and I was fed up. So I just grabbed some random trash and took it back to the house.
What?
When I showed what I'd found to Grandpa, he frowned. He started going through each thing I'd brought back, explaining why they were all useless. I got really mad. I just yelled, "I don't care." Then he got mad and I couldn't take it anymore, so I ran away. I was pretty upset. and started thinking that maybe Grandpa had only adopted me so he could raise me to work and make money for him.
Yes, nobody literally has children out of the kindness of their fucking hearts. They do it for the free
I didn't raise no freeloader.
Yeah, I mean, what parent is like, oh, my child has to never do chores ever?
Apocalypse labor. I just have to feed it. It's the exact same thought process that Andrew has for his chickens. I just have to feed it this cheap shit, and it'll make me eggs.
Pretty much. I mean, what else? What else is the purpose of your existence, child?
After a while, I went and hid in an abandoned building. But by then, I'd started to calm down and think that maybe I should go back and apologize.
Maybe.
It had started raining pretty hard, though, so I decided I should wait for it to stop. I have never tried to do this voice for this long.
It gets hard, doesn't it?
The same test you had before.
Yeah.
But that was just an excuse. The truth was that I was nervous. Part of me knew that I'd done something wrong, but I didn't want to admit it.
That's petty.
The rain didn't stop, though, so I just sat there staring out at the gloomy gray sky that's red. That's red.
Yeah, because
the sky's red.
It's
Have you
raining,
seen colors before?
It's raining Radical 6.
It's raining red. I imagine raining blood by Slayer.
Oh God.
I imagine Grandpa coming to get me. And then he did, with a root beer float. Again. It kept raining all night, and he never showed up. I gave up waiting and decided it was time to go home. I was about halfway there when I heard somebody groaning. At first, I thought I should just ignore it and not get involved, but I went over anyway, and it was Grandpa. He was totally soaked, and I could tell right away that he'd been there for a really long time. I yelled, and he opened his eyes a little bit. He smiled weakly, and then he said I was glad I was safe. He spent the whole night out in the rain looking for me. I almost got the old man killed because I'm a piece of shit. Thanks for the root beer float, you fuck. I felt awful. Grandpa had been out in the rain looking for me for so long that he'd collapsed. I was horrible. He'd heard me crying in the rain, but I hadn't heard him. As I ran to get the doctor, I promised whatever God might be listening that if they would just only save Grandpa, I'd never ask for another root beer float ever again.
I don't think God would care about that. I think like a root beer float is the least sacrificial thing you can offer to a god for like a goodwill.
He got a really bad fever and his temperature wouldn't go down for days. The doctor said if it kept up, he'd die. But then I made a robot copy of him.
Oh, God.
If he died, then I'd be all alone. Should have thought about that before you fucked it all up. There wouldn't be anybody left to take care of me. The thought of that happening terrified me. Fortunately, I must have passed some of my luck on to Grandpa, because a week later his fever finally broke. I was glad that he wasn't going to die, but I was also a little scared. What if he had decided he didn't want a stupid kid like me around anymore? My plan was to apologize as soon as he woke up, but when the moment came, my brain just stopped. That was the second time I died. Grandpa started to talk, and it took me a minute to realize he was apologizing. I didn't know what to think. That's the wrong photo. That's from this game.
Yeah.
He explained that he was an old man, and that meant he was probably going to die sooner rather than later.
Okay.
He was strict with me because he wanted to make sure that I'd be able to make it on my own after he was gone. Maybe he'd been a little too strict. This is like a fucking 12-page novel, by the way. Or novelette, to be accurate.
I'm just waiting for the relevance.
All the things well, he just wanted us to know what kind of man he was.
He's a piece of shit.
He's making excuses for his grandpa that doomed us to die. This'll make you feel better as you die. At least he was nice to me, the person he saved, which was already pretty clear, honestly.
Given the fact that we had to basically alter the entire game around Tenmyoji's need to save your life, seriously. I would say that Tenmyoji...
We get that he cares about Quark. Like, if this entire story is just setting up that he cares about Quark, we already knew that, because the entire central thing that constantly happens in every timeline is him being like, no, I have to save Quark, he's sick.
Also,
we spend like half the plot on just that plot point repeating over and over again. And they're like, we got to establish in a 20-page novel that they'll only see after they've played for 40 hours that they care about each other, in case they haven't picked that up on the 12 times they've already seen it. This is the writing of this game. God damn it. All of the things I've worried about have been stupid and selfish. Grandpa cared about me a whole lot. He'd been worried when I ran off, and he'd gone out into the rain to look for me. I tried to apologize, but when I opened my mouth, I just started crying. I don't think I've cried that much since I was a baby. But he just smiled and patted my head. I asked him if he'd ever regretted adopting me. His eyes got all wide, and he said, "Of course not." He told me that he was looking for a really important lady, and because of that, he'd had to give up on pretty much everything else in his life. But when he took me in and started raising me, he felt like he'd gotten some of what he lost back. That was when I decided I'd stay with him forever, even if he said I couldn't. That's the whole story? I mean, admittedly, it was better than the termite story. Did it just end? That's an ending sound. That's the ending music. Are you serious? That's how this... It just ends? So on top of never seeing what happens when people escape, we never see what happens when people are forced to live in there after everyone leaves them?
Yeah. God, I think my favorite part
fucking
is...
ends! Tenmyoji end. In root beer veritas. the fucking Latin.
I think my favorite part is the fact that apparently we just sat there and read an entire novella about nothing.
It was so long
for no reason.
It was so long. That was like one of the cutaway stories that they do in Nier.
Yeah, I would almost I could see the arguments now funneling into my brain cells where people are saying like, yeah, but it sets up the world that he came from and how hard reality and life is after Radical 6. And it's like,
it's not the worst story ever. It's just that like
it doesn't have any relevance to the fucking plot because at the end of the day,
I'm not totally against the story itself because it develops characters a little bit in a game that like we've been talking about. Like it keeps refusing to develop characters.
But Tenmyoji is the only character we know.
The problem
100%.
is that the story, the problem is that the story develops it in the most boring way possible, which is that it just repeats all the things we already knew. Like we already knew they cared about each other. We already know he was looking for a woman.
Did he write this?
Already repeated to us.
Like did he write this under the impression that
like we already
weren't going to have the entire game?
Yeah, the problem is we already have that central plot point constantly reinforcing how much they care about each other, and we've already seen the Akane picture where it's supposed to be his first love and everything. So like largely the stuff's already established. The only elements that were new were little hints at what's going on in the outside world. That's all we got out of that. Which is not why he wrote it.
No.
I mean, like, by which I mean Quark, not necessarily the writer of the game. The Quark did not write that to teach us about, like, ooh, you scavenge in the post-apocalypse.
No,
which, by the way, we're in.
Yeah, I guess.
Like, he wrote it to be like, this is how much Tenmyoji cares about me. I'm like, I guess you weren't awake for all this, but we get it. Like, we get that more than any other element of the entire story, is that Tenmyoji cares about Quark, because it's, like, the primary established element of the entire narrative. So that's rough. Tenmyoji end. That means the other ending's a skull, which means we die somehow. I'm not sure how. Maybe Tenmyoji's like, you betrayed us, and then like stabs us in the heart.
No, it just means that Clover gets out. And no one else.
and we just die. Yeah. They're both skull endings. It's just one that's not the Tenmyoji ending.
Yeah.
Which that means that Quark spent all that time writing that letter, but then doesn't give it to us.
Yeah.
Right?
I also want to point out that most, if not all of the skull endings are mostly worthless.
Yeah, they're mostly worthless, but might as well see them because they're short.
No, I know, but I'm saying, like, why did you
want to keep going or you need a break?
Include them. Let's take a break.